Maharaji's little children. I'm indeed very, very happy to be here. And as Prabhuji was mentioning, we started from a place, actually we started in 95, 96. I migrated to the US with my family. That time it was just my wife and my son. He was about 2 years old in 95. And His Holiness Romapad, somehow we tried to connect because we're from Mumbai, ISKCON Chapati, and tried to see where there's an ISKCON. And there was one in New York. And being new to the country, we had heard things like New York traffic is like crazy and things like that. So we were looking for somewhere close by, and the close by was 50 miles away, Tobacco Temple. We were in Edison. So somehow Romapad Swami Maharaj, we had the good fortune, he came home and he gave us the introduction of Madhupati Prabhu. Some of you must be knowing Madhupati Prabhu, a very, very, very wonderful devotee. So Madhupati Prabhu was also in Tobacco, and he used to live close to the Tobacco Temple, Lincoln Park area. So Maharaj made the connection, and Madhupati Prabhu used to bring his harmonium, and every Saturday we used to do Bhakti Vriksha program in my house. Just Madhupati Prabhu, myself, my wife, and my 2-year-old son. Just three of us, three adults. And slowly, some children from Rutgers, they joined. Saturday morning we used to have. And then a couple of family joined, Dattatreya Prabhu and family. And like this, the numbers started growing. And we moved into a community hall. Something very similar like this. Very similar, same setup we had. On tables we used to have DTs every Sunday. And we used to do wrap up and set up and wrap up. Go in the morning. Same way, we used to cook in the house. All the Matajis used to bring in the pots and come to the center, and then you heat up, and then again. And I know what are the issues, Matajis. Who's going to make rotis and who's going to do. So this is what we used to do. Then it started expanding just with Krishna's mercy. And what I see over here, the same thing, it takes me back to 2000, early 2000s. At that point in time, 2003, 4, I think. It just started growing. And then we rented this Marathi Vishwa Hall a little better. And I just seen this, the place to go to the bathrooms over here. It was a little smaller over there at First Aid Squad in Edison. We didn't have Sunday school, and children are restless. This little child full of energy. I see these like little Vaishnavas, they're sitting so patiently listening to all these adult people, older people talking. Kids used to be quite restless, Mataji's running behind children and all that stuff. Same thing, and it's taking me back. We didn't have a separate classroom. So Govinda Nandini Mataji, she was the first school teacher, God bless her soul. She used to collect all these little children, and we used to have shoes, how you keep there. We used to move all the shoes to one side and sitting outside the bathroom with shoes. And these are the future, these are our futures, all these people sitting there and talking about Krishna Katha, that level of dedication. And then we moved to MVCC, we had a separate room, maybe half the size of this, and no separate rooms. So we had children from 1 year all the way up to 17, 18, just going to college. All of them in one room, and so much of energy, how to handle them. And I jumped in over there, and I started as a Sunday school teacher, Govinda Nandini Mataji and I. And believe me, as an adult, whatever I thought learning, reading the Shastras, listening to Vaishnavas, Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, the perspective that little children have will open your eyes. So whenever you get an opportunity, and I hope very soon you have a Sunday school set, I learned things like, why is Krishna blue in color? Your deity is Shyam Sundarji, Radha Shyam Sundarji, correct?
Yes.
Shyam Sundar, everyone knows what is Sundar. What is Shyam? Black. Dark. He's the color of the dark rain cloud. And actually, and the complexion is in the dark rain cloud when the lightning strikes. That's Krishna, Shyam Sundar. But why is he blue in color, or bluish gray, what you can say? Why? Why is Krishna blue in color? Now, as an adult, I've been seeing Krishna. This question never came in my mind. And a child asked me, Prabhuji, why is Krishna blue in color? I had no answer for that. I said, I'll revert you. And I went and asked Romapad Maharaj, and there is a basis why Krishna is blue. Krishna is known as the Akhila Rasa. Akhila Rasa. Rasa is a relationship. We know there are 5 relationships, correct? Primary.
Yes.
One engages. But within that also there are many gradations. And it's countless what you have over there. And each rasa is denoted by a color. So we also know when you go on the street, you have the traffic light. Red means stop. Green means go. So like there are these colors, and similarly colors evoke certain kind of feelings and emotions. It's universal, it's not just for US or anywhere. So similarly these rasas, these relationships, each of our relationship is unique with Krishna. It may come under one category of dasya or whatever it is, but in that also there are gradations. And those hues, the colors that you have, when it is all amalgamated, that becomes the color of Shyam Sundar. So that's why now a child looks at the deities. We see deities every day, but see how a child looks at it. Jagannath Rath Yatra was yesterday. We did it in Atlantic City. My voice is a little hoarse, and on the first also we did it. Snan Yatra before that, Lord Jagannath falls ill. One child in my Sunday school sneezed, so I said, hey, cover your mouth. So he said, why? I said, because germs, and you make other kids ill, and that's good manners, sneeze in your elbow. So he asked me, Prabhu, and he knows Jagannath has fallen ill. Does Jagannath sneeze? And when he sneezes, what comes out? 2 germs come out. You see, we just understand. And we can understand at philosophical level, but a child, how he understands it. Then Romapad Maharaj gave the explanation again that, even those are spiritual germs, so whatever will come out from Jagannath will just charge you. Okay, so I'm very, very happy to be here. And tomorrow is a holiday. I would very much humbly request all of you, don't feel shy. This is going to be an interactive session. So it's not just a lecture and someone is going to talk and we'll just listen. We'll make this little interactive. And that's how the assimilation will get a little bit more deep to what we're doing. I'm having no connection to internet. Do you have Bhagavad-Gita?
Yes.
More copies, you could just distribute it. So you all are familiar with Bhagavad Gita classes, and the protocol is, we call out the verses and then there is a response. Please don't feel shy that the pronunciation may not be right or whatever it is. Please understand, Krishna looks at the effort, not really the result. So do your best, and if there are any copies, you could share it, or just we'll make do with this. Ye yatha mam prapadyante, tams tathaiva bhajamiham, Mama vartmanu vartante, Manushya partha sarvasa, Ye yatha mam prapadyante, Tathaiva bhajamiham, Mama vartmanu vartante, Manushya partha sarvasa, Ye yatha mam prapadyante, Tams tathaiva bhajamiham, Mama vartmanu vartante, Manushya partha sarvasa. Would someone like to chant? Come and chant.
You can say. You know it, right?
Ye thamam prapadyante, tam sateva bhajamiham, मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः
Anybody else would like to say?
ये कामां प्रपद्यन्ते तां सतैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः.
Any Mataji or any other child? Oh, good.
ये कामां प्रपद्यन्ते तां तथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः.
Who else? Anybody else would like to go?
ये कामां प्रपद्यन्ते तां तथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः.
Very nice.
ये कामां प्रपद्यन्ते तां तथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः.
Very good. Okay, so we'll read the synonyms, translation and profit by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ye, all who, yatha. Oh, sorry. Ye,
Ye.
all who, yatha,
Yatha.
as,
Yes.
as
mam,
Mam
unto me,
Unto me
prapadyante,
prapadyante
surrender,
surrender
tan,
Tam
them, tatha,
tatha
so,
so
eva,
eva
certainly,
certainly
bhajami,
bhajami
reward, aham,
aham
I,
I
mama,
mama
my,
my
vartama,
vartama
path,
path
anuvartante,
anuvartante follow
manushya,
manushya
all men,
all men
partha,
partha
O son of Pritha,
O son of Pritha
sarvashta,
sarvashya
in all respects,
in all respects
as all surrender unto me,
as all surrender unto me
I reward them accordingly.
I reward them accordingly.
Everyone follows my path
Everyone follows my path
in all respects,
in all respects.
O son of Pritha.
O son of Pritha.
Jai Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar Ji ki Jai Shri Shri Nitai
Sachinandan. Jai.
Perfect. Everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestations. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma Jyoti effulgence and as the all-pervading Supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atom. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. This is a very important point to note. I'll repeat it again. Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all devotees equally, according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, but they are equally exchanged by the Lord with different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord, and thus they derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and those who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal, blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord. Having extinguished their individuality, some of them, who are not firmly situated, even in the impersonal existence, return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are again given the chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruitive workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yagneshvara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone. And all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2:3-10. Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udrabhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajete purusham param. Whether one is without desire, the condition of the devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection, culminating in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So another tradition we follow before we speak, we do the Mangala Charan. So please, if you know it, please join along with me. Om Manyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamaham Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishnavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchaka Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So we just spoke about tradition and culture very quickly. Tradition is nothing but a set of processes or a set of things that are repeated over a period of time. So all of us I see here are from the Indian subcontinent, and we have a certain tradition ki bado ke paanch chute hai. You get it? when you meet an elder, your uncle, your parents, your grandparents, you take Ashirwad, you touch their feet. That's a tradition. Now tradition is nothing but a means, processes and things that we do is for a particular culture, in a culture. So this is very unique to the Indian culture, Bado Ka Paanw Chhuna. Different cultures have different set of things that they do. So what is culture? Culture is nothing but things that are done to achieve a particular goal. To achieve a particular goal. So when that is done by a group of people, done over a period of time, that becomes tradition. So whatever we do, correct, it has a certain purpose and a goal. So we have a wonderful deities over here. We ring the bell when you're offering food. When you enter a temple, you ring the bell. You offer agarbatti, you offer the diya, you offer bhoga. There's a deep significance. But what happens is, in absence of understanding all the significance, it becomes ritualistic and mechanical. Mere pitaji karte the, my grandfather told me do it, so even we are doing it. It becomes routine. And when things become routine, it becomes meaningless. And when things become meaningless over a period of time, it just dissolves. You can't just sustain, it's not sustained. So Romapad Maharaj was saying, it's very important to be thoughtful, to be meaningful. So for every act that we do, if we just apply a little thought as to why we're doing, so like for example, we do japa, correct? So why do we do japa before you start? Anything, it's not just related to your spiritual activity, it's even to our work, studies, whatever else that we're doing. Just spend a moment before you engage in it to just reflect on why am I doing that? And when you have a reason for doing it, what happens, the attention and the focus, it helps bring it on that, and anything which is done with attention is more effective. You become also more efficient. So today we just read chapter 4.11 Bhagavad-Gita as it is, and the theme of this shloka is surrendering to Krishna, the what, who, why, when, where, how. Again, as I mentioned, it's going to be interactive, so it's not just I'm speaking. I'd love to hear from you. Don't worry about the right or wrong answer. There is no right or wrong answers over here. It's just we'll be expressing the thoughts and then knowing what Prabhupada has mentioned in his purport, what other Vaishnava acharyas, gurus, sadhu, shastras say. That's how we learn. Very good. So let's look at this, our learning focus. Chapter 4 is all about transcendental knowledge. Can someone tell me what is transcendental? What do you think is transcendental? You keep hearing this word around, right? Transcendental. What is transcendental? And everyone who answers, I've got a prize or a present for you.
Beyond the material. Beyond the material.
Very nice, Prabhuji. So you can be my helper. Both of you can come. Once you go, the other time. You can give this to the Prabhuji sitting behind in the blue kurta.
Come, sit down.
Oh, you said so? I think.
No, I didn't see.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You can sit, I'll call you. Next time you can do it, the next answer. Yes. It's something which is above and beyond. Anything that is above and beyond, to rise above. Rise above what? As Prabhuji said, the material world. Material is where we are. So here it will give us knowledge of how to go above and beyond of what we already know. All of us know about material stuff. We are living in material world, and it's not just this lifetime. Last week I celebrated my 59th birthday. My body celebrated my 59th birthday, correct? There's a lot of stuff that we have known. But all that we know is about matter and energy and the relation. Everything comes down to these two things. So transcendental knowledge is something which goes above and beyond. And what is above and beyond the material world is the spiritual world. So chapter 4 talks about that knowledge, information related to the spiritual world. Then it talks here specifically, this particular shloka, surrender. Surrender, the cause and effect of surrender. Correct? Whatever there is a cause, we know there is an effect. Cause and effect, but there are certain things in the spiritual realm that it is causeless. It's literally causeless. That we'll get into later on, but specific to this, what is the cause and effect of surrender? Who can tell me what is surrender? Yeah, you know what is surrender? What is surrender?
Full faith in God.
Full faith in God is a symptom of or effect of surrender. Partially right. Just surrender. What does surrender mean?
You leave the action to Krishna.
Huh?
You leave the final action to Krishna.
We'll come a little bit before that. Yes, those answers are also right. This is what happens when you surrender. But just general surrender, not even in a spiritual sense.
Give up your desire and
Give up.
give up
Give up.
give up your free will.
Free will is not really given up ever, but it is give up.
Give up your
Surrender
like,
simply means to
give up your life, like you would like serve them. I think.
you would
Like
What-
serve them.
serve them.
Give up the life to serve.
Give up the life to serve. Yes. So the correct answer is just simple, give up. Surrender just means to give up. I'm doing something, बहुत कोशिश कर रहे हैं, I'm trying a lot, and then finally I give up. I give up. So surrender means to give up. And every one of us has the experience of giving up. Now giving up in a material sense it has a slightly negative connotation. In the sense, oh, you're a coward. So if people are in a war and the overwhelming force comes, the other one just gives up. You know, the white flag of surrender is they throw their hands up. Throwing your hands up is a symbol, surrender, international sign of surrender. We also threw our hands up when we were chanting. But that's a different type of surrender. That's what we're going to talk over here. Then, how information, we're going to get a lot of information. Correct? And we get information from the news. It's only bad news, so whatever you get in the news, you get a lot of information. And how it can bring about transformation. Krishna Namanand Prabhu says that information is meant for transformation, otherwise it's just useless. You know, it's just cluttering your mind. It's not going to bring about any change. So this is a nice little thing Ben Franklin has said, tell me and I'll forget. Show me, I may remember. Involve me and I'll learn. So, with this in mind, the success of learning depends on your interactions. So, as I mentioned, it's going to be an interactive session. You know, please participate wholeheartedly, and we all will learn. Don't feel shy. Don't feel shy. Anyone goes to Planet Fitness? You go to Planet Fitness, they say no judgment zone, right? So when over here there's no judgment zone. So everyone, you know, please participate. Hare Krishna. So let's look at what is transcendental knowledge. The first thing is whose knowledge? Whose knowledge? Transcendental knowledge. The answer to this question is spiritual knowledge coming directly from the source. We're talking about transcendent, we established that it is over and beyond material, correct? It's called spiritual. So that source of spiritual, in fact, that source is the source of everything, even material. Brahma Samhita says, Ishwar Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigra Anadi Radir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. So from that source, that transcendental knowledge which is coming. Whose knowledge? It is the source of all things, including spiritual and material. So this chapter has 4 sections. From 4.1 to 4.10, text 1 to 10 is knowledge about Krishna, that source that we're talking about. So Bhagavad-Gita is an assimilation or the summary or the condensed, like milk. You keep thickening it, it becomes really thick and condensed, right? Uska jo, what is it called?
Malai.
The malai, or that, even thicker than that, you keep it becomes half it. Rubbity. So that rubbity. So Bhagavad-Gita is the essence, you know, the entire Vedas. It's phenomenal, the Vedas. And then all that comes, then we have the Bhagavatam, and then from the Bhagavatam, even condensed, it comes to Bhagavad-Gita. Now Bhagavad-Gita is Krishna's mercy for this transcendental knowledge that he has shared with Arjuna, so that generations later, people like you and me, with very limited faculties, would be able to go above and beyond, transcend whatever is the limitation that we have. So This one is transcendental knowledge about Krishna. The important thing is transcendental knowledge has to be received in disciplic succession. The only reason it requires to be received in disciplic succession, otherwise it becomes khichdi. So I can open the Bhagavad-Gita, read it, and I can give my own interpretation. Why? Because we have a mind, we have some level of intelligence. But it need not necessarily be the truth. Truth is truth. Truth doesn't depend on your perception or my perception or majority says 2 plus 2 is 4. It's 4. Not, that is it, 4. You may believe in it, you may not believe in it, but it is 4. So, disciplic succession is Krishna is speaking, and he's spoken to many. And then they in turn, whatever they've heard, have passed it on. They passed it on. So whoever is being passed on, who speaks and he receives, that is called the parampara. So we know that we have, there are the initiating gurus, our individual gurus, all respects and obeisances to them. They are the disciples of Prabhupada, they heard through Prabhupada. Prabhupada has heard through his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. He has heard it from his Guru Maharaj, and if you see the Bhagavad-Gita in the beginning, it gives the entire disciplic succession from Krishna, how this knowledge is coming. So please understand this, anything that we're learning about anything spiritual has to be in the disciplic succession, correct? And when you understand this truth, what happens is a person becomes purified. Purified of what? Purified of things that are material. Suddenly it's not that you will become effulgent and you'll get a halo on your head. That's not what happens. You will remain you. But your outlook, aapki jo soch hai, your behavior, your speech, what affects you, how you affect others, that will change completely for the better. That is the purification. Okay, the person becomes purified and attains Krishna. Then section 2 is applying that knowledge. This is a very, very important part. If you have, incidentally, if you have a question or a comment, please do so. So how do you apply this transcendental knowledge? Knowledge is information. For example, is there anyone from South India? 1, 2 Matajis, 3 Prabhu. Okay, so there are 3 persons over here. If I tell the rest, so if you know it, please hold your answer. Now this is for the rest who are not South Indians. Do you know what is Madgane? You don't know what is Madgane. So I'll tell you what is Madgane. Madgane is a sweet dish, a dessert. It is made with rice flour, with chana dal, with cashews, with kishmish. It's really nice, and it is served with idli. Now you understand what is Madgane, right? Because I told you what is Madgane. But until and unless you haven't performed the act of eating Madgane, you really do not know what is Madgane. So to realization is very, very important. Please understand that. So there is knowledge, information put into action becomes realization. Knowledge is something which remains here and it can get cluttered because now we have an overdose of information coming from all ends. You have it on your cell phone, you have it on your TV, you put on your radio, all information is coming. And you can only do that much. And what happens is, knowledge, until and unless it isn't referred to, it tends to become dull and we can forget it. But realizations, something that is put in action, is deep. And realizations done over and over again becomes wisdom. What to do, what not to do, you already know that. Correct? So this is what is the application of transcendental knowledge. And then the third one is understanding karma on the platform of jnana. So we know these words, right? We're familiar with what is karma, what is jnana. Karma is nothing but action and reaction. Whatever action we do, there is a consequence to that, a reaction. And jnana is nothing but, again, this knowledge. So how one could act and not have any reaction, that's called akarma. So all spiritual activities, to give you an example, Mataji lit a matchstick while doing Aarti, if you saw. She lit a matchstick and then she lit an agarbatti, and that agarbatti was used for the pleasure of the deities, for the pleasure of their senses, that Mere Bhagwan, my dear Lord, will get a nice fragrance, it will please him. Now that act of lighting a matchstick, that is neutral. Every act is neutral. The purpose and the intent, who is the beneficiary of that decides whether it is karmic, which is consequential, or whether it is akarma. So anything which is done for the pleasure of Krishna is akarma, you don't have consequences. And these consequences that we're talking of finally comes down into 4 categories: birth, old age, disease, and death. So we think that, oh, punya karo, do charity, kisi ka bhala karo. Yes, but we are the spirit soul, not this body. So whatever action we are doing, we've done good actions, you have to again take a birth to enjoy the fruits. You do bad action, you have to take the consequence. But the idea is to not get caught in the circle of birth, old age, disease, and death. So when you do this, karma, anything connected with Krishna, so Krishna consciousness doesn't require you to, it says detachment, but detachment from all things which are karmic, and attachment to things which are akarmic, akarma. Sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. Sacrifice what? Can anyone? The answer was spoken earlier. Sacrifice what? Sacrifice leads to fruits of labor. Okay, surrender. Okay, nice. Nice. Prabhu, you'd like to go? Since 1980, the green t-shirt gentleman.
Giving up.
Yeah, sacrifice. All of us have done sacrifices, and most sacrifices are the Matajis who are mothers. Everyone sacrifices. We go to a job, we sacrifice our sleep, we'd rather be aram se so okay, but you get up in the morning. Mataji, especially when the child is newborn, how often they wake up every 2 hours and you sacrifice your sleep. Parents sacrifice so much for their children's well-being. So sacrifice is nothing but willingly, voluntary, taking up hardship for a particular benefit. So this also requires sacrifice. And what the sacrifice it requires is the kind of desires we have to enjoy for ourselves. Sacrificing that and connecting it for Krishna's pleasure. That's the sacrifice. And when we start doing that, the transcendental knowledge, we start, how do you say, becoming the beneficiaries. Otherwise, these are just words, and this is just philosophy, and this is just intellectual and mental level. It will happen. The transformation will not really come. So I spoke through action. We have to do actions to get realization. And then finally, the 5th section is acting on transcendental knowledge received by disciplic succession destroys all reactions of work, karma. It destroys all the karma which is there, whatever. It negates that. Therefore, one should do his duty fixed in transcendental knowledge. It doesn't mean कि अभी हम सब बाबाजी बन जाएं, and we throw our hands up and we surrender. I surrender. No, do your job. Krishna told Arjun, no, you have to fight. Arjun was giving all kinds of reasons. No, they are my siblings, they are my brothers, and how could I do that? What gain will I have? And all the things he put forward. Krishna told him, fight. Do your duty. But don't be attached. Some Prabhu said, don't be attached to your fruit. Whatever we are doing, it is an offering to Krishna. So surrender, cause and effect. What is the basis? Everyone is searching for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestation. Okay? Levels of realizing the absolute truth. Whether we know it or we don't know it. Everyone is searching for Krishna. The only thing that exists is Krishna and Krishnas. There is nothing beyond that. It's Krishna and Krishnas. Possessor and those who are possessed, the owner and the owned. So we think that when I first came to the country, in India I used to have a motorcycle. I'm from Mumbai. So I used to have a motorcycle, very happy motorcycle. When we came to the US, I bought a first second-hand car with over 100,000 miles, a Honda Civic. And very happy. And I got a Honda Civic. Then next is that oh, I want a new car. So I went and got a Honda Accord. And then we had a second child. And oh, the family is growing. And now I need a minivan. So minivan came. So this thing which is going on, little we realize all that and if you just look at it, we are just acquiring things. We want this, I want. On the way I came driving, I saw some New Jersey lottery, 26 million and 300 and something, 26 million. I was new to the country, there's something called publishing clearing houses and they're so smart, these people. In my mailbox, I saw Anil Shabad has won $10 million, in that little window of the envelope. So I took it, my heart just jumped out of my body and I went running up to my wife, banging on the door, hey, we won 10 million. With that, mind could not even think, why will you win 10 million? So I said, hey, we won $10 million. And then quickly we tore it out and then it says, if you have the winning number, we will declare that Anil Shabad, you won $10 million. Now you see the smart little thing. So what this was telling me later on, the realization is that, and of course the side story is that my wife and I were deciding then, if you win $10 million, what will you do? Advice to all the Prabhus, please do whatever your wife says. She's more sensible than us. So at least I'm very impulsive. So I said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, aisa karenge, waisa karenge. And then she said, no, it's not like this. So we had an argument over how 10 million, which hasn't come in, is going to be spent. And that argument lasted for a couple of days and all, but theek hai, ghar ka husband wife ka jo hai. So these are the things. The point is that we are looking for things, and whatever it is Krishna's. We don't realize it is Krishna. So everybody, whether he's a material person or whether he's a spiritual person, is searching for Krishna. It's Krishna and Krishna's. Keep this in mind. Knowingly or unknowingly. Then if someone knows about transcendental topic, then there are levels of realizing Krishna. Krishna is the absolute truth. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Godhead is the absolute truth. The truth you and I are accustomed to is relative truth. So over here inside it is about 70 degrees, the temperature. But if you go outside, it is 90 degrees. Even over here, some people may feel a little chilly. The temperature is 70. But how we perceive 70 is dependent on each one of us over here. So it is relative. One man's food is another man's poison. But in the thing which is absolute, there is no relativity. It is absolute. That's it. So the absolute truth is a person, the Supreme Personality of God, the absolute truth. Godhead is the absolute truth. And he is realized in 3 stages. You have the Brahman stage, you have the Paramatma stage, and you have the Bhagavan stage. So at the lowest level, there is the Brahman realization. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for bringing a newborn. Great service you're doing. I think I met you in Hare Krishna. Nice to see you again. Hare Krishna. Pranam Mataji. So Brahman is his effulgence, and then there is Paramatma, the localized aspect, where he pervades everything, and then you have the Bhagavan. So here's a little pictorial. You see Brahman, there's Paramatma, and there is Bhagavan. So he is Shaktiman, the possessor, and there is Shakti, energy. So there's Krishna and Krishna's. Krishna's is the energy, and he is the possessor of that energy. Right? Now to realize this is Brahman, you can look at it as like you go far off, you see some vague thing over there. We don't know. We are far off, distance between us and that object. Okay, no shape. If you really can't have any engagement with over there, some idea, kuch hai, udhar hai, but there's really no, like you and I are having an interaction right now. I'm saying something, you're also giving me feedback, you're nodding your head. Someone will be puzzled, the eyebrows will be together, but won't ask a question because they're shy. So there is an interaction, correct? But if something is far away over there, what interaction can you have? You can't have any interaction. Then if you come a little bit closer, is the Paramatma, the localized aspect. He's there within every jiva, Krishna as Paramatma. Even in the inanimate objects like the stable, Krishna says he's even there in the space between atoms. Krishna is over there. everywhere. This is his Chit aspect. The Sat is the eternal, all-pervading aspect, is known as the Brahman. The Chit aspect is the Paramatma, and the Ananda, the bliss, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. Bhagavan is a person. It's a person, right? So when we come closest, that form becomes known. So if you come very close to the mountainside, you can see the little pebbles, you can see the rocks, you can see the different colors, you can see the waterfalls, you can see the trees, little grass, shrubs, flowers. So many varieties are there. So it all depends on the distance that we are, how close or how far. So when you come closest to the person, you can actually have an interaction with that person. You have the interaction over there. Now, the second slide of cause and effect is based on Krishna as the object of everyone's realization, and anyone and everyone can be satisfied based on how much desire you have for him. So if you say, I'm not interested in Krishna, very fine. Krishna won't interfere with your free will, fine. You're not interested, you could do as you please. Karmic, whatever you're doing. Then, without coming to that highest stage, all the other attempts are shaky. It's imperfect. Like we learned these different stages, right, of realization. There are different methods also. So we may do it, but it's really shaky. And there's always a chance of sliding. What we did was transcendence, as Prabhu said, we're trying to get out, right? So even the Brahman realization is transcendental, but it's not the complete realization. Everyone depends on the mercy of Krishna for his success. Not even a leaf can move without his will. In Christianity, there's a prayer. I studied in a parochial school. We used to say this: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven, thy will. So without his will, nothing can even move. The very breath that we're taking, we are blinking our eyes. Internally, digestion is going on, so many things. Our brain is working, the synapses are firing, so many things are happening. Some things that we are conscious of, some things that we don't even know about. It's all happening by his mercy. His mercy, he allows it to happen. All kinds of spiritual processes are just different degrees of success. The instruction from this is, it should not put anyone in a superior position just because you're taking the perfect path. Doesn't make you great, you should be grateful. This is what my Guru Maharaj has said. You got something which is perfect, you got something which is priceless. But just because you're the owner, if you're the owner of a Lamborghini or something that, or I have a Lamborghini, it should make us humble. Because the others are also on the same path, it's just different degrees of success that they have. So with fruitive workers, people lane den, correct? I do this, I want that. He's looking for fruits of his effort. He's the Yakeshwara. Sacrifice, you do sacrifices, there is some result you get. As an impersonalist, he is as Brahmajyoti. He reciprocates as Brahmajyoti. There are yogis who do a lot of tapasya and penances, mystic powers. There are different types of mystic powers. They can become heavier than the heaviest, smaller than the smallest. You know, in our scriptures it is written that these yogis could go for food hundreds of years. Now in our lifespan, we look at it and we say, oh, this is all mythology, because our knowledge is only this much. And these are things which are outside, though it is material. Sometime back I was reading, there is a company in Israel, I think, and it is called Solanik or something. They are literally manufacturing food from thin air. How wonderful is that? I only hope they can solve the world hunger problem, and more importantly, they offer it as bhoga, and people start their journey back to God, literally. And there is a process, because there is carbon pollution in the environment, and they're able to trap that, and using the solar energy, it is converted, and it is something like wheat, the consistency of what the byproduct of that entire process is. Now we know the process, we say, oh wow, what a great invention and discovery. But the same thing which is written in the Shastra, we didn't bother to what is the process. Oh, these are just fairy tales and stories. That's how it is. So for the yogis with mystic powers, it is provided. Krishna awards them with mystic power. And with devotees, these 5 rasas. Right? You could be a awe and reverence. Oh, I'm sorry, is the time check? What's the time? We have? So just let me know before the time, or tomorrow is a holiday. Oh, it's there. These are the 5 rasas that we could engage with Krishna. So to recap, we studied about surrender. So can someone tell me what is surrender? Huh?
Give up.
Give up. No, I don't have so many presents to give. So I want that child who laughed the loudest. What's your name? In the white shirt? Give this to Jyotirmoy. Prabhu, give this to Jyotirmoy. For the wholehearted laughter. Thank you, Jyotirmoy. Hare Krishna. So, surrender is we basically give up. Actually, the entire Bhagavad-Gita comes to one instruction, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, Aham Tam Sarva Papibhyo, Mokshashyami Masacha. Abandon all varieties of dharma. Duty, religion, ye, wo, sab bhul jao. Just leave it behind. And surrender unto me. I will take care of you. Don't worry. Whatever तुम्हारा reaction है, I take care of it. This is the guarantee coming from Krishna. So that is what surrender is. Just give up all this thing. Just give up. Get attached to Krishna. Who should surrender? Or who surrenders? Who would like to surrender? Show of hands. Think before you put your hand up, because the next question will make it go down. So there are many people who put their hand up. So who should surrender? Who all of you? Jivas. Male body, female body, Indian body, white body. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who should surrender. And anyone who is looking for anything should surrender. So simple. We all have desires. So that's the person who surrenders. Why should you surrender?
There's no way out.
Huh?
It's an old
There's
age
no way.
disease.
Huh?
Get out of the cycle.
Get out of the cycle. Very nice. So we get out of the cycle. That's why we need to surrender. When do you surrender? Now? Anytime? Every time? Anji? Every single moment. Yes, good answer. Where do you surrender? Do you surrender in the parking lot, on the battlefield, in the office, at home? Do you surrender to your wife or to your husband? Whom do you surrender to? Where?
Everywhere.
How do you surrender? This is the most important question.
By sacrifice, by giving.
Mataji, very nice. But sacrifice is one. That's a part of the process. How do you sacrifice? How do you surrender? One is, Anji? This Prabhu hasn't answered. He's behind you. What's your name, Prabhuji? Neeraj.
Dheeraj.
Neeraj. How do you surrender? Give up your desire. In a sense, give up your material desire. Yes. Mataji is sitting behind over there. Can someone tell me how do you surrender? Please don't feel shy. And अगर आपको हिंदी में बोलने गुजराती मैंने गुजराती थोड़ा आवड़े I can understand बोलने में थोड़ा problem है. So कैसे करते हैं हम surrender?
By having full faith in Krishna, or anything you are, thinking that you can surrender. So with full faith.
That is things required to surrender. I'll come to you. Yes, child. Keeping, so all these things is, yes, All are perfect answers, keeping Krishna in the center. Prabhuji, up.
Akinchana, that is abject helplessness.
Yes. So everyone has spoken. The person who has spoken remembers his answer. But pay attention to all that and we'll bring it all assimilated into a very, very simple way of how to. Prabhu, you have a question?
Humbly.
Humbly.
Yeah.
Yes, humbly.
Devotional service.
Devotional service.
By leading a regulated life.
Leading a regulated life.
And always remembering Krishna.
Always remember Krishna, never forget him. Basic instruction. So nice. So, I don't have so many cards, so I'll give it to the last person who said it. Please give it to the Prabhu in the mask with the little baby.
With body, mind and word.
With the mask, Prabhu. So we'll bring all this into one, what the easiest and the simplest way. It doesn't require you to do anything extra. So, and the takeaway is when you go home, just keep this in your mind of how simple it is. And then we'll discuss what the opportunity and challenges are in doing things which are so simple. Okay? So here's what it is. What is surrender? It's basically you cease resisting and you submit to authority. Even in a material world. So Russia is attacking Ukraine with all the might. Ukraine is resisting with all its might. They thought they'll do it in 2 days or 3 days. Now it's, I don't know, 100 days or
More than 3 months.
more than 3 months. It has, the war is going on. They're not. But they'll use overwhelming force and then perhaps they'll throw their hands up. So they'll cease resisting. Right now they're resisting. Similarly, we are resisting to spiritual topics. No, I don't want to do. Like when children were small, they used to be dragged to school because they don't want to go to school. So, and submit to that authority. What is it we are surrendering? Remember, we are surrendering a false ego, that sense of who I am. Ego is a sense of who I am when it mistakes itself to be this body. Indian, male, rich, poor, educated, all bodily designations. That is a false ego. I don't know who I am. And I think me to be that which I am not. Who? Everyone. And basically 4 categories in Gita Krishna has explained. Someone who needs something, greedy. So we have in the Indian tradition and culture, भगवान को एक नारियल दो तो तुम्हारा ऐसा होएगा. You do this, you do that. Do this puja, that will happen. Do this, you do that. All, it's ritualistic and it has a certain significance. But what we're trying to develop is we're trying to develop love. In Hindi, love is called pyar. You must be familiar, right? Pyar. But what you do is you're giving a coconut, you're doing this, you're doing that, is vyapar, transaction. I'll do this for you, Bhagwan, you do this for me. And that happens even when we come on the path of devotion. Hey, I've been chanting 10 years, how could this happen to me? Then that is vyapar. When mother gets up in the night for a child, the child soils itself, the child soils on the mother. Mother doesn't think. It is unconditional.
Prabhu, so sacrifice is kind of, we have some desire. Let's say I am mother and I raise my kids. So every mother have that, one day my kid will be grown up and he'll earn for me and, he'll take care of us when we'll be old. So every sacrifice have more or less of that
Motive.
motive.
Yeah, there's always a person motive because of our conditioning. But the closest which comes to an unconditional, no conditions attached, is what a mother has. Then of course father, and then we also have relations, husband, wife, brother, sister, friends, neighbors, community, society. So that sense of I, me, myself, mine, because we have a false ego, everything is I, me, myself, mine. And it rotates and we are the center of everything. So every thought, word, deed, action that I'm speaking is for I, me, myself, mine. I'm the beneficiary. But even in that, the closest which comes, a mother will have something which is spontaneous. Now there are mothers who have children who are handicapped. What will that child do? Does a mother just neglect? She loves that kid in spite of whatever. Now let's say the child grows up and he or she becomes what we call a selfish child. माँ बाप का ख्याल ही नहीं करते हैं. And we can see this happening more and more. You see so many senior citizens. You know, when you get older, the biggest thing is loneliness. And especially, you know, in the Western and the Eastern. I was raised in a joint family till I was, I don't know, 6 or 10 years. So that thing is breaking off. And everyone is getting more and more self-centered. So it became a nuclear family. And even in that nuclear family, once the kid is 18, they're kicked out. And when parents are old, kids kick them out. So this is the situation, but yes, you're right, we all have personal, I, me, myself. And this whole thing about spirituality is removing that I, me, myself mind and putting Krishna in the middle. That's it. So whatever act you're doing, literally, if you're eating and you like a gulab jamun, your gulab jamun gives you your taste buds. Nice feeling. You get some kind of pleasure. That same gulab jamun, you offer it to Krishna. It becomes prasad, it becomes a karma, what you're eating. You're not given up gulab jamun. Okay? So who? He says greed, despair, curiosity, and persons who are already self-realized in their previous life. They go on the path, but for some reason they couldn't complete it. They spontaneously take on to transcendental topics. Why to give up is this illusion that I am the controller. Because I, me, myself, mine, we are little parts of Krishna, so we have that sense of control. We are many Ishwaras. We misuse our free will because of that. We are all trying to control. I'm trying to control my son. I'm trying to control my wife. I'm trying to control events. I'm trying to control. And when there is loss of control, it leads to fear. Fear is nothing but a loss of perceived control. When it happens is when we realize the futility of failures. Birth, old age, disease, death. So at that point we say, oh, there must be something more. Where it happens here, within. It's not a battleground outside, it's a battleground within. It happens in our mind, it happens with our intelligence and in our consciousness. That's where the surrendering. And how? All what you said, it will come down to this ABCD principle. ABCD. And we'll see what those are. How information, before we go there, how information can lead to transformation is, we get information and as I said, you put it into action, correct? So A stands for association, Vaishnava Sangha. B stands for books, reading transcendental topics, bona fide transcendental topics. C stands for chanting. You all know chanting, we were singing Kirtan, you do japas individually. And D stands for deity worship and your diet. When you do just this ABCD thing, so simple, automatically whatever has been spoken transcendental, it becomes more meaningful. We start getting realizations. Then we no longer see them as metal. We no longer bow down ritualistically or mechanically. It's good, we're doing it. Better than not doing it at all. That's what happens. So just so simple, ABCD, who can't do this? Anyone can do it. So with this in mind, what do you think are the opportunities for ABCD? And what do you think are the challenges? And if you say the challenges doesn't mean that, oh, you're karmi, you're not a devotee. What do you think are the opportunities?
Services.
Anji?
Devotional services.
To do devotional service. So here I'm going to put this seva.
Which
Engage in seva. Very nice. Seva is the platform on which all this happens. Everything is service oriented. Service is not like Mataji was doing that. That's not, you are sitting here as you are doing seva. I'm speaking, I'm doing seva. This kid plays the mridang so well, he's doing seva. The Prabhu carried that heavy pot and brought it in his seva. Because whom was he doing it to? For? He was doing it for Krishna's. He put Krishna in the center, not himself. Seva is one. What else?
Preaching.
Anji?
Preaching.
Preaching, okay. Preaching is basically Yaradeke Tarakaho Krishna Upadesh. Transcendental topics are such that the more you share, the more realizations you get. Okay? Seva, preaching.
You can choose where do you want to be, everybody can be anywhere, but they are here, so you have to pick the right associates.
Very nice. Choice. We have the opportunity to make a choice. You would rather be sitting here, or you could be probably watching Netflix or doing something else. Something has brought you over here, especially for youngsters. But of course, now everyone is young. When I came to this country, it was a compliment. Like I had colleagues, Matajis at workplace. So someone would, "You're looking so hot, hot, hot." I was to wonder, "Oh yeah, hot guy. What is it you're looking hot?" Being hot is such a uncomfortable state, but they used to say, because it's as though old age is a curse, because physically we become slow. The joints ache, ye hota hai. You're not able to do that much. You have to depend on other people, and other people will attend to you based on their convenience and their comfort, not actually to this. So it's as though it's a punishment over here. So if you tell someone you become old, we have a culture of Mataji, we call Matajis. Even that little child I'll call Mataji, and there's a deep significance. We did a catering order for a devotee. And of course he had both devotee friends and family, as well as people who are not into transcendental topics. So we did catering, and I was doing the serving, behind. So one lady, with all jewelry, because wedding everyone wears the best. So she must have been around my age. This is about 15, 20 years ago. So she came here, so I said, "Mataji, may I serve?" She got so upset. "Whom are you calling Mataji? Am I your Mataji?" I said, "No." And she's saying, "Do I look like a Mataji?" So now what to say? Do I look like a Mataji? I said, "No." And, "Why are you calling me Mataji?" She made a big thing. So I said, "I'm so sorry, but this is our culture, that we respect all women as Mataji. I don't mean in any way it is, your age or something. So, so growing old is Mataji." Okay, let's see challenges. To do all this ABCD, what happens? Why can't you do it? What stops?
Laziness.
Time management, okay, that's a big one.
Again, your free will problem.
Free will, use of free will.
Maya.
Yeah, see, Maya and all these are terms. Who said Maya? These are terms, but the significance of Maya, the illusion, is the use of the free will and understanding who I am. So yes, so time is one. Something?
Laziness.
Chanting restless mind.
Restless mind.
No instant gratification.
Who said that? Give Mataji a... Please refer to this little booklet as often as possible. This is Prabhupada's Vani in that. Tell me what your
No instant gratification.
instant gratification. Very good. We have, okay, we'll bring this quickly to a close. I know I took some time, please forgive me. We'll go for prasadam. So what this says is, time management. Everyone has 24 hours. Romapad Maharaj gave a nice seminar of how we can manage our time. Some things that are urgent and important, that's first priority, matter of prioritizing. Whether you're a student, whether you're a mother, whether you're whatever, a professional, doesn't matter. As you do your time management, urgent and important, urgent, not important but urgent, neither important nor urgent. And neither important or not urgent, we all are guilty of, is the University of WhatsApp. The same faltu jokes in all the groups, from college student, your old friends, everything, that same thing will come. Good morning, there will be inspirational things happening, ye, wo, politics. Same nonsense, garbage. And the moment you open WhatsApp, you just get sucked into it. It's like a black hole. It just sucks you in, and before you realize, 20 minutes, this, that, So, instant gratification as I want it now. I did a project in, they are talking about warehousing. Warehouse, right? So you order online, wherever, something. Now they want that thing delivered same day. Now same day is becoming within 2 hours of your delivery. Now see the logistics thing, that there are fixed warehouses. So there will be a warehouse fixed here. Now they've done so much of big data analytics and all, they know, and they can predict patterns as to they know what you want even before you want it. Actually, it's actually a factual thing. They're talking about having a warehouse in the sky. And based on where the demand comes, it moves like a big Star Wars ship. And there'll be these little drones. You already have drone delivery doing pizzas and all that. So you have these little drones which will go to the mothership. Everything automated. It picks up the item. And aapne either order kya? I want whatever. I want. That I want, and you get it. See the level of how much. My Guru Maharaj has said, all of us are looking for happiness because that's who we are. We are Sat Chit Ananda. That's who we are. That's why we're looking for happiness here, there, kidhar bhi karne ka happiness. But happiness, we're looking for things. We look for happiness in things. Maine gaadi kharida naya, that new car smell. You know, I'm so careful. I'll go to Walmart or ShopRite, I'll park it far away so that no one will bang it. I'm so it's like my little baby, that car. The car key, I'll put it under my pillow and sleep so that, kar ko chor aayega, he won't take that away from me. We are so attached to that thing till it becomes a little old and done. Oh, from Honda, no, I want my minivan. And then, I want that Lamborghini where the doors open like a butterfly. Like that, I want that thing. And it never ends. It will never, ever end. It will never end, no matter what it is. So Guru Maharaj has said, happiness doesn't lie in what you have. Happiness lies in what you can do without. मेरे पास butterfly वाला गाड़ी है, ठीक है. If I have to go पैदल चल के जाने का है, ठीक है. It won't disturb my level of equilibrium. And if I don't get that, and somebody else gets it, then that jealousy comes. It makes me feel so much, what is there in him that he can do it, that I can't do it, and we are always competing, we're always in this rat race. So sad, we're humans running in a rat race. A human being with his intellect is supposed to do something much more. So, I think that's the last one. Yes. Thank you so much for participating. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.